man walks into a room full of billionaires and refuses to invest in almost everything. Not because he can't, because he won't. While the world chases the next big thing, AI, crypto, electric dreams, he sits still, reads, waits, says no, over and over again. And somehow, that's exactly how he wins. This is how Warren Buffett picks stocks, and why almost nobody has the patience to copy him. Right now, the market feels like a casino with better lighting. Prices move faster than logic. Trends appear overnight. Entire fortunes are built and erased between Monday and Friday. Everyone's asking the same question. What should I buy next? Buffett asks a different one. Why should I buy anything at all? That single shift changes everything. Because Buffett isn't trying to be right today. He's trying to be obvious. 10 years from now. Let's rewind. In 1965, Buffett took control of a struggling textile company called Berkshire Hathaway. Textiles were already dying. Margins were thin. Competition was brutal. It was a terrible business. He bought it anyway. Not because he loved textiles, because it was cheap. That decision would later haunt him. He called it one of his biggest mistakes. And that mistake quietly shaped the system he uses today, because Buffett realized something uncomfortable. A cheap business can stay cheap forever, and a bad business compounds badly. So he changed the rules. He stopped asking, "What's the cheapest stock?" and started asking, "What's the best business I can understand?" That's step one. Not numbers, not charts, understanding. Buffett has a phrase for this. Circle of competence. It sounds polite, almost harmless. It isn't. It's a hard boundary. If he doesn't understand how a company makes money, he walks away. No exceptions. In the late 90s, during the dot-com boom, tech stocks were exploding. Everyone was getting rich. Buffett sat out. People called him outdated, out of touch, finished. Then the bubble burst, and most of those can't-miss companies disappeared. Buffett didn't look smart because he predicted the crash. He looked smart because he refused to guess. That's the first filter. If it's confusing, it's gone. Now comes the second step. Once Buffett understands a business, he asks a simple question. Does this company have a moat? Not a metaphorical one. A real economic moat. Something that protects it from competition. Think about Coca-Cola. You can start a soda company tomorrow. You cannot build Coca-Cola's brand, distribution, and customer loyalty overnight. That gap is the moat. Buffett loves moats because markets are ruthless. Without protection, profits attract competition, and competition destroys profits. It's that simple. A company without a moat is like a castle with open gates. It might look strong until someone walks in. But here's where it gets interesting. Buffett doesn't just want a moat, he wants a moat that gets wider over time. This is where most investors get it wrong. They find a good company, but they don't ask, will it still be good in 10 years? Technology changes. Consumer habits shift. Entire industries vanish. Buffett bets on businesses that quietly survive all of that, companies so embedded in daily life. People forget they're even making a choice. Insurance, consumer goods, banking systems, nothing flashy, but incredibly sticky. Now we get to the part most people think is the whole game, valuation. This is where the math comes in, and it's not complicated. It's uncomfortable. Buffett tries to estimate how much cash a business will generate over its lifetime. Then he compares that to the price today. If the price is lower than what it's worth, he considers buying. If not, he waits. That's it. No secret formula, no magic indicators. Just this. What am I paying for what I'm getting? But here's the catch. The future is uncertain, always. So Buffett builds in a buffer. He calls it the margin of safety. It's like buying a bridge you know can hold 30,000 pounds and only driving a 10,000-pound truck across it. Because things go wrong, predictions fail, numbers lie. That extra cushion is survival. And this is where patience becomes almost absurd. Buffett might analyze hundreds of companies and buy none for years. Let that sink in. Imagine doing the work, reading the reports, understanding the businesses, and still saying no. In a world addicted to action, he chooses inaction. Because every time he invests, he's making a trade. Not just money for a stock, but certainty for uncertainty. So he waits for moments when the odds feel unfairly in his favor. Not slightly, decisively. These moments usually don't feel comfortable. They feel chaotic. 2008. The financial system was breaking. Banks were collapsing. Fear was everywhere. Buffett started buying, not blindly, carefully. He invested in companies he understood, with strong moats, at prices that assumed the world was ending. That's the pattern. He doesn't chase excitement. He waits for fear. Because fear distorts prices, and distorted prices create opportunity. Now here's the part most people quietly ignore. Buffett doesn't just pick stocks. He picks behavior. His biggest edge isn't intelligence, it's temperament. He doesn't panic when prices fall. He doesn't get euphoric when they rise. He doesn't need constant confirmation. And that's incredibly rare, because markets are emotional machines. They amplify fear. They reward impatience. They punish discipline. In the short term. Buffett plays a different game. He's not trying to win today's opinion. He's trying to win long-term reality. There's also a strange irony here. Buffett's strategy is simple, almost boring. Understand the business, buy strong companies, pay less than they're worth. Wait. Anyone can understand that. Almost no one follows it, because it demands something most people don't have: time, and even more importantly, the ability to do nothing. Let's talk about the hidden mechanism, compounding. This is where everything quietly explodes. If you earn 20% once, that's nice. If you earn 20% consistently, over decades, it becomes absurd. But compounding has a rule. It hates interruption. Every time you jump in and out of investments, every time you chase trends, you reset the clock. Buffett doesn't just pick good businesses. He holds them long enough for compounding to do the heavy lifting. His favorite holding period? Forever. Not literally, but close enough. Now compare that to the modern market. High-frequency trading, daily speculation, endless news cycles, everyone reacting to everything, prices moving before facts are even clear. It creates the illusion of control, like you have to do something, or you'll miss out. Buffett's approach feels almost rebellious. He ignores most of it, because most of it doesn't matter. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Buffett's strategy is not optimized for excitement. It's optimized for results. That means long stretches of boredom, doubt, watching others get rich faster, watching trends you ignored skyrocket, and doing nothing. Until, eventually, the math catches up. But even Buffett isn't perfect. He misses opportunities. He underestimates change. He admits mistakes. Airlines, textiles, even technology, for a long time. The difference is, his mistakes don't destroy him, because his system is built on restraint, not aggression. He doesn't need to be right all the time. He just needs to avoid being disastrously wrong. So when you ask, how does Warren Buffett pick stocks? The real answer isn't a checklist, it's a mindset. He filters aggressively. He values simplicity. He waits longer than feels reasonable. He bets when others hesitate, and he holds when others get restless. But here's the question nobody likes to sit with. If the strategy is this clear, why doesn't everyone do it? Why do smart people still chase hype, overpay for growth, and sell in panic? Why does patience feel like losing, even when it isn't? Because Buffett's system doesn't just test your intelligence, it tests your behavior, and behavior is harder to fix than knowledge. So the next time you look at a stock, ask yourself something uncomfortable. Do you actually understand this business? Or are you trusting the crowd? Because Buffett built one of the greatest fortunes in history by refusing to trust the crowd. And the real question is, in a market driven by noise, Can you afford to do the same?